Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
And here's a lucky Saturday morning Reddit because we've got 3 8s, and in some places, 8s are luckies. Alright, folks, our first and only letter of the sleepy Saturday morning is titled, Am I a jerk for selling a family heirloom to pay for my destination wedding? My fiance, a 38-year-old female, and I, a 39-year-old male, are planning to get married this summer. We both want to have a quiet and lavish wedding at a winery in another state. The two of us agree that it's the most important occasion in our lives, so we should make it as memorable as possible. We both have stable jobs and a good amount of savings, but it's not quite enough for the admittedly ambitious plans that we have in our heads. Well, my father passed away in January, and in his will, he left me a very valuable, think 5 figures, family heirloom. I'm not much for big family traditions, so although it's a nice thing to have, I'm not massively attached to it. I have plenty of other good memories of my father, and I don't need a fancy heirloom to remember him by. My brother, a 34-year-old male, however, is a huge history nerd and is really, really attached to it. He was very upset by my father's decision in the will. The reason it went to me and not him is that this has been traditionally passed to the firstborn sons. My fiancé and I don't plan to have children, and I think that he assumed, therefore, that he or his children would be in line to get it if I were to pass away. After some discussion with my wife-to-be and I decided that we would be able to sell the heirloom to pay for our wedding. My brother, who is also my best man, was furious when he found out and said that he wanted nothing to do with the wedding anymore. He thinks that my wife-to-be and I are behaving like spoiled brats. In addition, he convinced my uncle and cousins not to come to the wedding either. With our parents having passed away, this means that virtually no one of my family will be able to attend this wedding, which I'm upset about. I think that since I legally inherited the heirloom, I can do with it what I want. I think that he's just upset because I ruined his expectations of inheriting it one day. But since my uncle and cousins agree with him enough that they're not coming to the wedding, I'm not sure if I'm in the right. Am I the jerk? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, you're the jerk. There's a difference between being legally in the right and morally in the right. You are legally entitled to sell the heirloom because it is your property, but that's not morally the right thing to do.
Well, I think this is a complicated situation in some respects, and I certainly don't think that OP is in the right because that's a family heirloom that is wanted and something that's enjoyed by the rest of the family. So I think that when you have been given a responsibility like a family heirloom, if it's something that other people in the family have an attachment to and a tradition to, then that becomes a much more sticky situation for selling it and actually wanting to make a profit off of it. If it was a family heirloom that no one really cared about and people just kind of, and like the brother only took an interest in it after you started talking about selling it, then that would be a completely different matter, right? Because then it would be like, well, he's only wanting this at this point in time because you're selling it, right? So I do think that there are certain shades here, but in this particular case, I think that OP is in the wrong because this is something that he and that his brother is actually attached to.
Yeah, and I mean, a wedding at the end of the day is still a giant party. You know, you do not need to spend ridiculous amounts of money to celebrate your new marriage.
Yeah.
And so if that means scaling down, I would recommend, I mean, you are risking alienating yourself from your entire family by doing this. You know, your brother has backed out of your wedding and the rest of your family has as well. Clearly, it's not a decision that any of them agree with. Even if just to preserve your relationship with your family, you really should rethink selling the heirloom.
Yeah, and another question is, and I think this is actually answered in the comments below, is what would the father think about selling it? And OP in the comments says that his father probably wouldn't be too happy about it.
Yeah, and that's another thing to keep in mind. I mean, of course, once someone is dead, you know, they cannot express wishes anymore, but it's very clear this was given to OP to continue a tradition.
Yeah.
And that the father, I mean, even though his other son clearly very much wanted this item, he still was upholding the tradition, and he would probably want OP to continue that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then also apparently the father and the brother used to sit and talk about the heirloom all the time, and they had this, deep connection with it, and this way of connecting with each other. So I can understand why the brother would be really upset by the prospect of losing this family heirloom, because once it's gone out of the family, it's gone, right?
yeah, and like that his brother is so callous to throw away this piece of their father and their family to have a big party.
So it's clear that it's something that the father really loved. It's clear that's something that the brother really loves, and so I think OP, you should really reconsider selling it, at least to outside the family. Maybe you can talk to the rest of your family members and see about raising funds or something like that and giving it to the brother if it's something that you really don't care about. I think there is some kind of level of compromise. It might not be the 6 figures that you would be expecting from it, but it might be a good act of goodwill too.
Right. I just make a good faith, like, hey, brother, would you be willing to purchase this for a much lower price type of deal?
Yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts there. Let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time, or coffee time, as the case may be. Grab your coffees or teas of choice, and we'll listen to Amber tell us a joke. Probably a knock-knock joke.
I can find you one, but I did not have a knock-knock joke. What's the best season to jump on a trampoline?
Well, let me tell you, I know what best season it is to jump on a trampoline, because I've jumped on a trampoline in all of the seasons. And the season that is best to jump on a trampoline in is salt. And the reason for that is, like, basil, it gets in your eyes, and oregano, it just kind of gets all over the place, and onion, you just cry. And I mean, like,
wouldn't salt get in your eyes, though, too? And
yeah, but it's like the least painful of them. And I mean, you could just wear goggles too, right? I mean, it's not like that's a deal breaker. I'm just saying that inhaling, like, falling basil and onion and stuff like that is just not a great way to go. So salt.
Springtime.
Oh, that makes sense.
And we've got a silly stat to go with it. The trampoline was introduced to the public in Central Park, New York City, with a kangaroo jumping on it.
A kangaroo? Wow, that's wild. And like I said, I have coffee. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Saturday. I hope your Saturday is special. I hope it's a relaxing, sleepy Saturday for you and not a frantic, hectic Saturday. Amber, what's the moral of the story today? And have it involve a trampoline. A 6-figure trampoline.
A 6-figure trampoline? If you inherit a 6-figure trampoline, and your sibling really, really wants the trampoline for sentimental reasons and not just to make a massive killing, maybe reconsider selling it for your fancy destination wedding.
Imagine that now. Imagine, like, the father and mother just, like, all they're doing is, like, jumping on this trampoline in the basement. And everyone thinks it's, like, the 6-figure trampoline. Like, it's this valuable trampoline, but it's, like, just a trampoline. Just a regular trampoline. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
It's like a SpongeBob episode there.
Mm-hmm.